Hello, and thanks for listening to Saviours RPG, a group of international idiots who thought that taking their online stream into a podcast would be a good idea. We really couldn't decide on what sort of set system or setting to play, so we're gonna do all of them. But for now, let us enter into the world of Call of Cthulhu.
We are wheeling back to the edge of the train station as the four gentlemen make their way through the town. Again, similar to what Frederick smelt and saw, it's a bracing spring day, bright blue skies, cold in the air, the salt and iodine of the sea in your ears. You can hear the ringing of probably a slightly discordant, I should have said this to Frederick as well, doesn't sound quite like a seabird. It's a very sharp, piercing cry of a bird that's quite prominent around. The buildings here mostly are sort of 1, 2, or 3 stories. The streets are quite close together, so it's a little bit claustrophobic when you're at street level, but a lot of the streets are sort of on the hillside, so once you're in the buildings you can view over the other side of the street and occasionally you'll come to a crossway and have a lovely sweeping view over the bay and across the inner Minch, which is the sea between here, the mainland, and Skye, just to the west. And quite quickly, because it's only about a 5-10 minute stroll, the party of you come across the first of the 2 guest houses that 2 of you are staying at, the Seaview. It's a stone-built villa itself that's been converted into a guest house. It's got a little bit of an extension out of the back. And it's a wee bit smaller. It's maybe got 5 or 6 rooms, but it is on the upside of the street, and you can see that there's a little bit of a patio, and it's got a nice view over the town centre and the bay and the harbour. And I think, Arthur, you have stayed here before, and you know that it's run by a very strict widower in her 50s called Annie McCafferty.
Oh, gentlemen, brace yourselves. You're about to meet Annie.
Right. Do we want to take the other folks up to their place? Is that it up there?
Don't worry. You don't need to take us there. I know the way.
Oh, all right then.
Right then. Safe travel.
So I guess I'm meeting Annie.
Yes, that's right. I think these places it's very formal, so you actually have to ring the doorbell from the outside. And you hear bustling from within and are presented. Again, Arthur knows from before, that's a very short woman. She's probably only about 5'2". Very severe black hair that's slowly going to the sort of salt and pepper grey, pulled back into a very tight bun behind her head. Black dress, sort of the traditional mourning clothes, because she's a widow. She takes grief and the fact that she's a widow very seriously, Arthur, you know that. It's almost like a badge she wears now rather than something that she actually feels grief or anything. And she sort of eyes you up and sort of nods to you. Mr. Grimes? And who's this you brought?
Annie, my dear, is number 3 open?
It is, and I'll tell you not to be so, fanciful with your my dears. Not like that. I don't run a brothel.
I didn't think things changed that much since I've been here. I presume you still serve whiskey, though, right?
That can be arranged, although not in public. I'm not meant to.
Oi, can we come in there now, Eddie?
Well, before I do, what about him?
This is a yank, and he just sort of thumbs.
Hello, ma'am. I am Jonathan Hemford, United States of America, 5th Brigade, Air Division.
You're not going to be a problem for me, are you?
Oh, no, ma'am. I am simply coming out here to enjoy your pristine beaches and quaint life. I lost a great many friends defending this island nation of yours, and I wanted to enjoy its beauty.
Don't do with philandering. I've heard that you Americans are a bit easy with your favors and your graces.
No, ma'am. I was raised nice and proper down in the... I don't know how much you know about America, but in the South, we respect everybody properly.
She just turns to you, Arthur, but I think I like him.
Seems like a decent sort.
Number 4's free. You can be in the room next to Grimes.
I appreciate that very much. You may call me John if Jonathan is too proper. I
will call you Mr. Hemsford, and you shall call me Mrs. McCafferty.
I appreciate that very much. Yeah.
Number 4 is just up those stairs.
Thank you.
Second on the right.
And, yeah. He, whenever he introduces himself to people, he drops his bag off of his shoulder and rests it by his leg. So he picks it back up, goes back inside.
You can see the whole time that you've been speaking, she's sort of, she's like fussing, like sort of with her hands and sort of tensing them, and not like angry or scared, but it's just like that's what she does when she's doing it, and she sort of looks at you, and just before you start going like 3 days up front, and
of course. I exchanged the currency when I arrived in London, but I do not know the value of it.
And like, do you hand out, sort of put your hand out with an assortment of currency in it?
Yeah, it's just like mixed bills and coins.
Yeah, she just sort of picks through it and goes, that'll do. And if you're staying longer, then come to me and we'll do it on a day-by-day basis.
Of course, I probably plan I'm looking for a week, maybe more. There is lots on the countryside that is open to be explored, and I do not have my plane with me, so it will be a little while to get.
The room is yours while you're paying for it and you wish it. Breakfast strictly 7 a.m. Doors shut by 11 a.m.
I guess I'll wait for Jonathan to head on.
Yeah, Jonathan will go on up and go up to his room.
I think whilst you do that, sort of Annie turns to you, Arthur, and goes, I take it your company's going to be paying for your stay again.
Unless something's changed, I presume so. I'm not quite sure how long I'm going to be here this time. Hopefully we'll be out of your hair soon enough. Now, about that whiskey.
Come in the drawing room. She sort of takes you in and like you sit down. See, though it's summer, it's early springs, there's still chill in the air, so she's got a fire going.
Well, now, I presume you heard about that boat coming back.
Oh, strange happenstance that is.
Can you speak to it?
Well, I know when you were here before looking for Mr. Ralston, he was coming back from Portsmouth, and we just all assumed it was lost. A rock, a rogue wave. You know the way it goes. We'd all long assumed that he was dead and gone. You'll know as much as I. There's many wild rumours going around, but I don't think anyone truly believed any of them. It was more for their own end. the odd extra drink at the bar if they had something salacious to share. But very strange, because from what I've been told, the yacht ran aground at the spring tide, and it doesn't look certainly from without, like it is damaged at all. Like somebody deliberately drove it up at high tide and grounded it on the beach.
Not a hide nor hair of the teal boy?
No, but there was a lot of fancy folk up from Glasgow taking photographs, and there was, what I assume from what people have said, bodies taken away, but nobody live and nobody's talking. But the local policeman, PC Macintosh, just looked green for days.
Oh, well,
he's a nervous young one at the best of times, but it's obvious he's out of his depth, and he's seen something that he doesn't want to talk about.
Well, last time I was down here, he was pretty green then too, but...
Greenhorn, aye, but no, this is more... He's been struck by something he's seen or something he's heard.
You still have a phone in this place?
Aye. I'll put it on the
call there.
Company. You can take it. You know where it is. And you know it's like there's a wee small, almost like a broom cupboard underneath the stairs. There's sort of shuttered door to pull behind it to go in.
And he will take his sort of half-warm glass of whiskey, and he will head over to the phone and dial for the station.
Hello, Millie Police Station. PC Macintosh speaking.
Ah, Macintosh. Grimes, how are you?
Oh, not bad. You back in the town, or are you calling from down south?
No. Up at Seaview at the moment. Getting my hide tanned from Annie.
I take it by that you mean she's plying you with her finest whiskey.
Absolutely.
She's a canny one, that, but there's not so many that get into her good whiskey supplies.
Oh, well, you know me. Ladies can't say no to the deep blues, you know. Tell me, Mac, I heard that the Janus is back, and I wanted to catch up with you to see what the story was.
I knew you'd be back and wanted to ask about that. It's a grisly business, and I don't mind saying I'm stricken by the sights I've seen.
With that, Arthur will sort of look around just to make sure there's no one listening.
No. Jonathan lacks the subtleties of stealth combat.
You can see Annie just sort of, not see her, but you know that she's still just sat in front of the fire, and there's nobody else about.
Right, so what can you tell me? You sound sure.
I think that's a conversation face to face. You never quite know who's...
I've got to settle myself in here. Should be over in about an hour or two, something like that. You'll be available, I presume?
Aye. Go and get some rum, because I think the telling that you're going to want, I'll need some to keep me going, fortify me.
Right, well, you're really selling this one. Right, man. We'll talk, okay?
Okay, we'll see you soon.
Yeah. Puts down the phone and just sort of, he's already in a passive mode. He's got a leathery face full of wrinkles, but just his eyes are just a sea of crow's feet at the moment, trying to figure this the tone was off. And I think Arthur will just sort of drink deep, stick his head into the room with Annie. I'm just going to go get myself situated, okay, my dear? Sorry, Annie.
She doesn't respond, but she smiles at you, and there's a wee bit of a twinkle there.
And he'd just lumber up. Actually, as well, just for everyone else, when we were walking back from the train station, you would notice there's a noticeable limp off to his left. It's not necessarily impeding him, but it would have been noticeable. And he will lumber his way up the stairs towards number 3.
So we cross back over whilst that's going on a little bit in the past to Svigvald and Morgan, who, again, you've only got another few hundred yards to go, Morgan. You know that it's really just the street beyond. And I think you also know that the moorings is run by a young couple in their 30s called David and Irene Livingston. Irene is also the daughter of Grant Monroe, who is the harbour master, and he's quite a fiery character. And although he never actively objected to her marriage with David, he's a little bit unsure that David's the best man to look after his daughter, and isn't totally sure that his daughter's married wisely. Although I think most other people in the town think that he's nice enough. The moorings is more akin to a small hotel than the Seaview guest house that you've just left the other 2 travellers at. Very friendly, offers bed and breakfast accommodation. Again, as a large stone-built villa, but it's got an even larger extension than the Seaview, and has a vast conservatory on the front that doubles as the dining room, breakfasting room, and the evening lounge. And it has a beautiful, unbroken view over the harbour and the bay.
Sigvald would introduce himself. Excuse me, I did not get your name. What is it? I'm sorry, I'm Sigvald.
Well, Sigvald, it's very nice to meet you. I am Morgan Swanson. The moorings is just a little further up the road here, and we'll be there shortly.
Oh yes, you said you've been there before. Is it a nice place?
I haven't really stayed there before, but I am originally from the area. I left to do some medical training and have recently returned.
Oh, a doctor?
Yes, recently graduated, returning home to become a GP.
That's very interesting. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, I do remember the days at the university. It's been a couple of years now, but it was a nice time.
Oh yes, many a joyful night of merriment was had.
Indeed. So, where did you study? Perhaps if it's a place I've heard of.
I went to the School of Medicine in Glasgow.
And you would know, Svigvald, that the train passed through and stopped briefly to let passengers off and bring passengers on in Glasgow, and obviously it's a large city.
Oh, so that's where you stepped on. I'm sorry, I rode the train for quite some time, and I'm not very sure when you got on the train, but that would make sense.
Yes. I got on in Glasgow to come here.
So, you said you were from the area. Is it a nice place? I've only heard, and I'm here on vacation, so anything you might know could be helpful for me.
It's a quiet, quite peaceful area, mostly.
But that's good. That is good. That is actually why I'm here. I needed to get away for a bit. And I got, how do you say, a good tip about this place.
Well, I'm sure you will enjoy your stay thoroughly, especially with the view from the moorings. What with it being a great view of the harbour area, so you can watch all the ships come in and out.
Just like back home. Sorry, you might not have picked up on it. I get quite many compliments, but I'm not actually from this place.
Yes, I could tell, but I didn't want to impose and ask where exactly you were from.
Oh, so you figured it out? Well, I'm from Sweden. It's very nice to meet you.
And it's nice to meet you too.
So, well, I got another question for you. How is this place with hunting? I've taken up quite an interest in it, so...
Well, that would depend mostly on what you intended to try and hunt.
Well, let me show you, or I think if you... Sigvald has an extra case with him, quite a long one, and he taps it quite gently, as to indicate a longer rifle in it.
Ah, so you are looking for something to shoot more than something to fish.
Yes, I've taken up quite the interest in bird hunting as of late.
Ah, well, bird hunting. Well, we do have some very nice moors around here that grouse tend to frequent.
Well, that sounds amazing. Is there anyone in particular that I have to talk to maybe use someone's grounds for hunting, or is it a free sport around here?
Well, unfortunately, you have timed your visit poorly for the hunting season, as most of the shooting takes place in the autumn seasons. But generally, you would have to talk to the landowner, and he would ask a sizable fee.
That is too bad. It was merely a gamble on my part. I did not know if it was possible, but, well, you know, thank you at least. Then I won't have to travel around asking everybody I meet for a place to shoot.
Not a problem at all. Any questions you have that I might be able to help with, feel free to ask.
Oh, that's great. So apart from the view and everything else, it's very nice. It reminds me a bit of where I come from, at least with the port and the sea view. What is it that I can do around here for, well, interests, I guess you could say? Any special activities or so?
Well, Sigvald, what kind of entertainment would you be more after? Would you be after more of a calm and scenic approach, or loud and energetic?
Well, definitely something more scenic. I have been, asked more or less to take some time off, have some, not to get involved with too much loud activities, you might say.
Well, Around here, obviously, we have the nice hills that you can go and take strolls up. To the south, there's some beautiful beaches to explore. And there's obviously some tourist hotspot ruins that people tend to frequent.
Now that is very interesting. Where are those ruins located? Do you know the location or how I can...
Well, if you headed to the beaches to the south, then you would probably be able to spot them.
Thank you very much.
And I think as that conversation finishes, Morgan and Svigval, you find yourself at the gate, small 2 or 3 steps going up to a nice brick sort of pathway to the front of the moorings. And there's a very jaunty sign being placed at the side which goes, drop anchor at the moorings, your perfect stay in Mallaig. And there's an open glass door sort of pinned open, and you can see a very sort of well-dressed man sitting at a reception desk at the front.
Hello, I have booked a room in advance. I'm Sigvald. Sigvald Svärd.
All right, what's your name?
I just gave it to you.
Sorry, very distracted. There's a lot of odd goings on at the moment. Yes, you're up in number 3. And he sort of looks behind and he sort of peers over Svigvald's shoulder at you and goes, oh, it's little Swanee, isn't it? I didn't realise it was you that had the booking today. What are you doing back here?
Oh, well, I'll be staying with you for about a week until they have the GP property to a serviceable standard again.
Oh, you've done well for yourself. You're going to be our doctor, are you?
Well, yes. Yes. It's what I wanted to do. Come back and give back to the community after the war.
Well, it's good to have somebody that knows the situation around here and knows what people are like. So, very, very pleased to see you. You're in number 8, actually, but just the other end of the corridor. I'll show you up. He sort of takes you up. You can see in here, it's newly decorated, plush carpeting, lighting, and it's bright and open. And he shows Svigvald up to his room, and nice sort of square room, large plump bed, couple of chairs, a wee sort of writing desk to have. And he sort of takes your luggage and puts it in. There's a wee cupboard, and then takes Morgan down to the other end of the room, and it's sort of similar thing. Both of you have views like above the conservatory, and you can see down into it that there's a few people sort of milling around having coffee. The breakfast is all being cleared away, and they're just having a leisurely morning, taking in the sights. He sort of hovers around for a while and then just, anything I can help with for either of you, just let me know.
Yes, I would very much like a coffee.
Yes, that's fine. I can make sure that my wife has that served for you. If you give us what you want, that you probably want a little bit of a clean-up and things like that. So if I said 20 minutes down in the conservatory, would that suit you?
Yes, that sounds just perfect.
Cool, that's fine. I shall get that arranged. And then he sort of goes back along to Morgan. And your friend that you arrived with is having coffee in 20 minutes in the conservatory. Would you wish anything similar or anything else?
Yes, I'll take a coffee as well, please.
Super. That's fine. Thank you. And he just sort of backs off and he just sort of turns at the end and goes, well, good to see a local back in a good job. He just sort of goes off again. I take it the two of you just unpack and refresh yourselves before going down for your coffee.
Yeah, has a quick shave and just put some cologne. And just get.
Yeah, he'll sort of, if you've asked for that, he'll bring up like both of you if you want to sort of a jug of hot water to wash in. You know, it's at the time where it's a wash basin in the room is the sort of common thing, and he'll bring you up some hot water to for your ablutions. And I think probably time to pass back to Jonathan and Arthur. Arthur, it's probably the time's gone by now. It's close to the time that you said that you would be going to meet with PC Macintosh. Don't know, Jonathan, have you stayed in your room? Have you sought out Arthur or Annie at all?
So I think for when he first went into his room, he unpacked his stuff, put all of his clothes in the drawers, which is something you never do in hotels, but he does that. He pulls out some of his like just personal belongings and set them on like the bedside table and like a small book next to it, the travel guide. And I think after just some like a change of clothes, he's getting out of his like fancy clothes that he travels in and puts on just like more casual fancy clothes.
Okay. And do you keep yourself to yourself, or do you seek out Arthur or anything?
Yeah, I think he'll go and seek out Arthur. Arthur Grimes.
Where would Jonathan find Arthur? Is he still in the snug with a dram with Annie, or has he gone to his own room?
He would probably have gone to his room, just put a few things away. He would have opened up a vent also, which would have had a pillbox, and the pillbox would have had a few rounds in it, which he would put in his pocket.
Okay.
And he would have just sort of gotten, probably taken his tie off for a minute, maybe taking the jacket off, and let the air in a bit. And he would have gone back down and probably sat with Annie for another jar while he was waiting for the time to pass.
Yeah, okay. So I think, Jonathan, that's where you find... To you, it's as though he's not moved since you came in, even though you've maybe been sort of half an hour or 40 minutes unpacking and changing and things like that. But you find Arthur and Annie staring into the fire in comfortable silence, both with a glass in hand.
Well, good afternoon to the both of y'all. I don't suppose you would be free this early afternoon there, Arthur?
Well, I actually have a meeting. What was it in regards to?
Well, I sort of saw you as like the local boy, and I was hoping you could, give me a look around. I would happily compensate you for your time, but I would like to know where the general food places and like where the grocery store is and where I could pick up some things.
I'm certainly no local. He sort of shares a look with Annie and a wry smile. But I know where the main markets and things like that are. I could show you to the market, sure.
That would be very appreciated. And I don't know the common practice here in Scotland, but back home in America, it is currently forbidden to drink alcohol. Is that active out here?
Well, in various different places, people mind each other's business, right?
And I think at that Annie goes, yes, but if make sure I'm not meant to sell it, but if we are sharing a friendly drink between ourselves, that's fine. Apart from on the Sabbath, nobody drinks or does anything on the Sabbath.
Right.
Right.
Of course, nobody.
Yeah. Okay, I just wanted to ask about that kind of stuff. So, I don't know when your plans are tonight, Arthur, but if you could just show me around.
I've actually got a meeting there in a couple of hours. Well, actually, no, this stage. He looks at the clock. He's probably maybe 10 minutes past when he would have normally left.
Yes, it's like a 10-minute walk, but you know that you can sort of thing. But the other thing, that it's a very laid-back thing, so as long as you turn up within the hour, he probably won't take any notice at all.
Right, so he picks his jacket, and the jacket you'd imagine would weigh a ton, the way it sort of shapes around his body and drags up off of the seat. We should probably get going, actually, if I'm to make that meeting. Thanks very much, Miss Annie.
Oh, beautiful.
She just sort of continues staring at the fire, sort of gestures with her whiskey.
And as he's sort of fixing his collar and his the coat on his shoulders, do you need anything from the market?
Oh, very kind of you, but I'm fine, thank you.
Right, you are. Long.
Hold on. Mrs. McCafferty, I don't suppose this is a common practice here in Scotland, but sometimes in America, the guest is permitted to use the kitchen whilst they're staying. Would that be permittable if I would like to cook some things?
Well, if you're sure, but usually I do all the cooking, but I'm not going to stop you if it's less for me to do.
That would be greatly appreciated. I consider myself a bit of a hobby chef, so I would love to get some of the local recipes from you as well, if you would like to work together on some meals sometimes.
Arthur, who is thoroughly disinterested in food, just makes his way out the door.
Exit stage left.
Oh, you can think on it. I'll be back.
You see before you turn enough that she's sort of gone back to staring in the fire, but she nods her assent and just goes, I think that can be arranged.
All right. Hold on, Arthur. I'm coming.
Larry, when you exit the door of the sea view, Arthur will just be standing there with a gold Zippo to a large cigar. You're taking your time there, boy.
Sorry, I didn't want to purchase food and supplies for cooking without permission.
Oh, no, that's fine. Come along. Have you shrunk in the wash?
Oh, no, it's a part of my attire. I have some things to stand on, and I got heels.
Don't worry about it. That's all right. I think Arthur catches a glimpse of himself in a window and realizes that he's completely out of order. There's probably a half of his shirt is untucked, and his two top buttons are probably open with his tie stuffed into the shirt pocket. Just give me a moment there, and he just sort of awkwardly fastens his shirt in over like what is now a pretty. It's a nice belly, and he's doing that, and he says, "You said you're a military man, right?"
Yes.
Right. Make yourself useful. Throws the tie at him. I can never get that right.
What kind of knot would you like?
Whatever puts me together, friend.
All right. He will put the tie around his own neck to tie it, and he'll do a Trinity knot.
Okay.
Here you are. I felt like this knot would fit pretty well with your whole get up.
I think Arthur would just look back sort of blankly. Right, yeah. Well, come on then.
The tie is where the eye is focused when someone is looking at your face, so you need something to draw their attention upwards.
Right. Okay. He just sort of shakes his head and takes a big puff, and big cloud of cigar smoke comes out.
So who are you meeting?
The PC of this place, Macintosh. Pretty green fella. Need to talk to him about a case I'm working.
I thought you said you weren't a local. How do you know the PC here?
No local. I travel with me services, you know. I work for the Hayes Company, private investigators, and I was put on a case and...
Oh. One of those.
What exactly does that mean?
No, it's just sometimes in the military we come across private investigators every so often.
Right.
People who are looking into some of the actions of the servicemen.
Indeed.
They don't have the best reputation.
Oh, right. Please do go on.
Oh, it's just they don't like following a military protocol when it comes to confidentiality and information security.
The truth is, you get a case, you solve the case, you close the case, you know? Simple as that.
Not when that case involves very important documents in the middle of a war.
Well, right. I mean, those cases are pretty rare when they come up. Not sure who you know.
I don't know. It's just, I'm sorry. It's nothing against you. It's just...
I'm not...
I personally haven't been affected by an investigator, but I've seen some of their less than clean actions.
Right. Well, you know. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Hope you understand.
I will try not to get in your way.
Oh no. I'm sure you won't. Anyway, I don't really deal with military stuff, to be quite honest with you. Sort of specialize in missing persons. Now sometimes that crosses the military's way. A lot of testosterone buzzing around those military grounds, and sometimes things go awry. But other than that...
all right. Yeah. That makes sense.
You're a strange one.
I been around.
Uh-huh. And he sort of just he has the cigar chewing in the side of his mouth, sort of. I see.
He will send Mrs. Morrison to go pick up local whiskey, the best kind they have, some other local things that the area is known for. Then he will tour the house with his wife, look at the garden, move around. He will. Oh yes, and also a local paper, unless he got one on the train.
She goes away and she gets you 18-year-old Lochmorer whiskey. Explains it's a local distillery. They're very proud of it, and this is one of the finest that they produce. And I think she also comes back and says, I'm really sorry that I should have asked before, but do you like seafood? As I was a bit presumptuous and bought you and your wife a dozen oysters.
That is fine. Thank you. No, it's fine.
And then you see her sort of look a little bit relieved and sort of bring her other hand from behind her back and go, I also got... and you see a lobster, a big massive lobster in her hand. She says, I thought John could cook that for your tea, the lobster thermidor. I believe it's quite popular.
His eyes seem to stare at her, questioning for a little while.
She after he's done that for a while, it's quite clear that she doesn't read situations, so if you want to ask a question, you're going to have to be quite direct.
No, he just stares at her a while. The question doesn't seem to come out. In his world, that is enough.
Okay.
It will be fine. We will eat this lobster. Now leave us, me and my wife shall discuss.
Okay. She scuttles off.
Saviours RPG is comprised of Dawnbro, Terrorblades, Emeros, and Jabberwocky. This chapter has been told by Squid. Special guest, Dan. You can find us on Twitter and Mixer at Saviours RPG. We stream every Sunday, I believe 8 GMT. Dan can be found at DanHobb5 on Twitter. That is DANHOBB5 at Twitter. Music in the episode is thanks to Kevin McLeod and Incompetech for their royalty-free music. The intro and outro music has been provided by Rick Lloyd at aitm.bandcamp.com. He does great work, and I'm a big fan of him. If you like us, please tell a friend, and we will be back in 2 weeks.